Okay, so to save on time, I already did my base, and I had a facial yesterday, and it was one with the peel as well as like extractions and stuff like that. So my skin is on the dry side. Obviously, if this was your real wedding, you'd leave at least 2 weeks between your facial and the day, but I wanted to make sure my skin was really well moisturized, so I used a little bit of thermal water and spritzed all over my face after I cleaned it. And then to really make sure it's well hydrated, I put on this serum by MAC. It's a skin brightening serum. It's a really lovely fluid serum, so it really helps disperse that moisture over my skin and trap it in. And then to make sure that that is really trapped in my skin, I use this Olay Regenerist serum. Now this isn't like a really fluid serum like some of the more traditional ones. This is a water in silicone kind of serum. So it's really good for trapping moisture in on the skin, so that's why it's important to have it hydrated beforehand. And because it is silicone based, it is really good as a base for makeup as well, so that's why I went for those. So then I put a little bit of this L'Oreal Studio Secrets anti-shine primer just along my T-zone, because that's pretty much the only areas I get a little bit oily. So just around the nose area, a tiny bit on the chin. Well, actually I skipped the chin today because it's quite dry from my facial, but then a little bit across my forehead. And then the foundation I went with is this Vichy Irritant Pure Foundation. I love this one for bridal makeup. It's quite nice sheer to medium coverage. You can build it up a little bit. It has a very low SPF of, I think is it 15 or 20 in it, so it's quite wearable for wedding makeup, and it's long wearing, is in it'll last for up to 12 hours. Maybe have a few touch-ups after that. Of course, if you're oily, go for the combination oily one, which is this guy, and it also comes in a normal to dry skin version as well, so that's quite nice that it deals with the different skin types. So that's what I went with. I'll link to a more in-depth video that I did on this foundation below for you. Then for concealer around the eye area, I used my MAC Select Cover Up, and I use NW20. This is a lovely eye concealer because it's quite good coverage. It's a thick liquid, but it's not cakey at all, so it does cover darkish circles. And then just on a couple of my blemishes, I used this concealer by Catrice actually. So it's a real mix mash of high and low end that I've used today brands. So I just use this kind of yellowy coloured concealer, and it matches perfectly for my skin type. And I just applied that using a synthetic brush. This is again Real Techniques. It's the base eyeshadow brush. I love using this for concealer anywhere on my face. Then I primed my eyes. So it might seem like a lot of layers, but when it comes to wedding makeup, you do use a lot of thin layers, and that's how you make sure that your makeup is very long lasting without being cakey. So this is the Stay Don't Stray primer by Benefit. It's for the eye area, and I popped that all over the lids. Then for eyeshadow, I'm going to be using pretty much all MAC, I think, for the eyeshadows. So I'm going to start off with this eyeshadow here, and it's Rice Paper. So it's a really lovely, really light kind of gold pearl kind of eyeshadow colour, and it works really beautifully as a highlight on more medium coloured skins, or just as a kind of sheeny colour on light skin. But it has that beautiful gold base, which I love. So I'm just going to put that all over the moving part of my lid. So then for the crease, I'm going to use a fluffy blending brush. This is like the MAC 217 or the Sigma, whatever it's called. It was the SS217. I'm going to pick up Cork by MAC, which is a lovely like warm brown. It's like a mid-tone brown. And I'm going to work that just into the crease. I'm not going to bring it too high. So it works really well with the Rice Paper because it is the same kind of yellow base tone to it. You just want to create a little bit more definition and depth. So just use your windshield wiper motions and go back and forth. And now I'm going to pick up a little bit of the Cork using that small brush and apply it underneath the lower lashes. Again, just to define that eye shape. You can bring it about 2/3 of the way in. You don't have to totally encase it. Just flick it up into where you blended that eyeshadow. So this is a NYX smudge brush. I really love it. It's a really nice small size. Be a little bit similar to the MAC 228, which is this other tiny little eyeshadow brush. Very handy brushes to have for small fiddly areas. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is apply a little bit of a highlight just to the brow arch and to the inner corners of my eyes. I'm actually going to use a sample I have here of MAC's Vanilla Pigment, which again is a lovely light highlight colour but has a tint of a gold base or undertone to it. So I'm just going to pick that up on an angled brush and apply it right up underneath the arch. So don't bring it down too far onto the brow bone. You don't want to make it look too puffy. And you can just go back in with the blending and just blend those two together. And then I'm also going to apply a little bit of it onto the inner corner. And bring it just over around the tear ducts as well. Okay, so next I'm going to do the eyeliner, and I'm going to just stick with the nice traditional vintage kind of 1950s kind of eyeliner. So I'll zoom in for that, and I'm going to be using my Black Track Fluid Line by MAC and one of my paintbrushes. This is just yeah, it's just a generic little paintbrush, but it's a size 2. I usually use 2, 1 or sometimes 0. So I usually pick up some of the Black Track from the pot and then pop it onto the back of my hand, so that I can work with any excess product that I need from there. And I like to make the brush so that it's kind of flat this way and thin that way, so I can have more control over the line. And as usual, I start in the center and work my way out and then go towards the inner corner. I'm just going to do a medium thickness of a line for this. If you feel more comfortable going thinner, do by all means. So that's pretty much the body of it done now, and then I'm just going to follow the angle of my lower lash line and create quite an uplifting line. Just like that. I don't want it to be too long, and then just connect it up. So that's pretty much the line that I'm going for. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the other eye off camera, and then I'll be back to finish off the rest of the look. Okay, so once I have the eyeliner done, I'm going to apply a little bit of a white. You can also use like a skin coloured eyeliner if you want. I think white is fine as long as you don't put on too much, and then you usually blink it off anyhow after a while so it's not so stark. This is MAC's Fascinating Kohl pencil, and I'm just going to lightly apply a little bit of that just to the lower waterline. So it just helps brighten up the area. Again, it's more of a kind of a retro vintage step. And then I'm going to apply plenty of mascara. Now of course you're going to use a waterproof mascara. I won't for this video, but the mascaras that I have in my kit at the moment would be, I have this Rimmel one, so Rimmel London, and it's the Glam Eyes Day to Night one. It's kind of like the Hot and Naughty by MAC, so you can use a dramatic kind of a thicker the thicker one for the top lashes, and then maybe use this one which will have less product on it for the bottom lashes. So that's a good one to have. Love this one by Max Factor. It's their False Lash Effect, also waterproof, the same as the last one, and this comes with a nice thick fat wand, so it's really good for volume. And then I also have this one by MAC, which is the Extended Play Lash. So this is a tubular mascara, which means it's not going to budge all day until you take it off in the evening when you soak like a cotton pad in lukewarm water and then lay it against the mascara, and then it'll eventually come off. But that's why it's really good for weddings. But for this, I'm just going to use another Max Factor one. This is my Masterpiece Mascara, which I love. And then also, this does come in a waterproof. I just don't have it to hand. So a good tip with mascara, if you don't plan on wearing lashes on the day, because I know a lot of people who aren't used to wearing lashes, they don't want to wear them on the day because it just feels uncomfortable for, you know, novices or people who haven't really worn them before. What you could do would be to use a lengthening mascara first, and then do a second coat with a volumizing mascara on top, and you really get nice, you know, fat lashes, quite dramatic lashes from that. But you don't have to like put on tons and tons of coats, just one of each, so that it's not too draggy looking. Now applying mascara to the bottom lashes is definitely something you don't have to do for wedding makeup, because a lot of people would be worried about balling and having it run. If you're using really good waterproof mascara, it shouldn't that won't happen, but people do have a tendency to rub. That's why this tubular mascara would be really good for the bottom lash, because it won't come off with tears. So I'm just going to apply a tiny bit there just to the outer corner. So that's all I'm going to do with the eyes for now, and I'm just going to fill in my eyebrows. So for this I'm going to use an Illamasqua eyebrow cake. So I don't want to go too dark, but I do want them to be defined so that they'll be more than noticeable in the photographs. This is quite a dark cake. This is Gaze, but I'm just going to go lightly enough with it. And I'm just using an angled brush. This is a Sedona Lace EB23. If you're very fair, go for a taupe coloured one. Don't go for anything that's too red based. And then once the eyebrows are done, just run a bit of clear mascara through them just to brush them into place and keep them from going haywire throughout the day. And then once the eyes are done, check your face again to make sure that you don't need to cover up any more spots. I'm going to go over this one on my chin a tiny bit, or my cheek rather. Just lightly, I don't want to cake it up. I think the rest of it looks fine. And then, like I said, my skin is a little bit on the dry side, so I don't need to like overly powder everywhere at the moment. I'm going to powder down my T-zone where I get oily. I'm going to use this lovely translucent powder by Inglot, sorry, and it's a yellow based one, or a yellow tinted one. So I like this for over that Vichy foundation, because that Vichy foundation is a bit more neutral than I am, so I like to put a little bit more warmth into it by using a yellow toned powder. And I'm going to use this lovely brush again. Actually, it's a lot of Real Techniques brushes I'm using today. It's their blush brush. It's quite a big one. I think it's more than big enough for powder for the face. And it's really, really soft, so it'll apply the powder and you can really like press it into the skin without denting the foundation underneath. And powder anywhere you know you're going to put like powders over it, like blushers and stuff. Since I seem to have a bit of a Real Techniques brush theme going on, I might as well stick with it. So I'm going to use their contour brush here, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of that vanilla pigment again, just on the side of the contour brush, and I'm going to use that just to apply a little bit of a highlight there to the top of my cheekbone. If you want to use a cream one, like maybe MAC's cream colour base, do that before you powder the base. But vanilla gives a lovely highlight as well, just don't go too heavy. And then a little bit down the centre of the nose, and just a little bit along the top of the cupid's bow. So since this is a makeup that's going to be photographed a lot, I am going to apply a little bit of a contour. It's not going to take long to apply. I'm going to use my my basic, the one I always use. It's Primal by Illamasqua. Use whatever is good for your own skin tone, or you can use a matte bronzer, or I use the medium to dark mineralized skin finish powders a lot for contours as well on brides. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of that. I don't want it to be too overly contoured, so that'll add a little bit of definition for photographs. So I'm just using the top of this contour brush. I think I'm really bad for looking in the monitor today, sorry. But I'm just using the tip of the contour brush so I don't spread it too wide. And then anywhere else you might contour naturally, so I'd always do the tip of my nose. And then for a little bit of a blusher, I don't want to go too nuts with the blusher either, I'm going to use another Inglot product, and this is blush number 34. This guy here, so it's a kind of a light, like a peachy blush. Get some on the brush, and then I'm going to have a tissue at hand and just blot it against the tissue so it doesn't crowd too heavy. And lightly apply it then just a little bit to the apples of the cheek and bring it up towards the temple, or towards the top of the ears. So that's all I'm going to apply there. And then time to go on to the lips. So I'm going to give you two options for the lips. Option number one would be to apply a lip primer. So I always use my MAC Prep and Prime lip. You apply this to the lips, and then you let it set for about 30 seconds. You do go over the lip line a little bit because that helps stop feathering. It's totally invisible, so it won't ruin the makeup around it. Then you let that set for like say 30 seconds to a minute. Then you will get a lip pencil. I love Brick or Auburn by MAC for a nice deep colour. So you'd apply that all over the lips once the primer's gotten a little bit tacky, and fill in the centre and get the lip line perfect. Then you put your lipstick on top. But what I'm going to do today, which is a little bit different, just to show you, is I'm going to apply a lip stain first. Now, I did moisturise my lips at the very start when I got my base on. I just used my MAC, this guy here, it's the lip conditioner with SPF 15. So, it's well soaked into my lips. But I'm just going to pat off any excess so that they're relatively dry, because lip stains won't it won't adhere to moist lip. I'm just going to shake it up. So I'm using the Revlon Just Bitten lip stain. This comes with a balm on the other side, but I will be putting a lipstick over it. So the idea of using this lip stain is lip stains are very long lasting. So if I use this underneath the lipstick, it means that if the lipstick wears away a bit, it's going to have this underneath, so you're not going to be left with a negative space. You'll get a bit more longer wear out of it. So I'm just going to fill in the lip and the lip line with this lip stain first. So it's actually a lovely colour in itself, that's why I got it. This is the colour Frenzy. It's a really lovely kind of berry red. You could definitely wear it by itself. The only thing I find about lip stains is they tend to be a little bit patchy. It's very hard to get a very smooth covering. So what I'm going to use on top is this Max Factor Flip Stick. So these are the newish ones where there's a regular colour on one side and you've got a highlighter on the other side. The highlighter is optional, but I'm just going to apply this colour. It's Gypsy Red is the colour. So I'm going to apply that all over the lip stain. So that comes out a really beautiful bright red colour. Now, of course, some people would prefer to go a bit deeper, go for richer reds. Ones that I use quite a lot when I am doing more vintage looks would be like, is it Viva Glam number 2, the lovely kind of reddy one. It's a bit like Brick or like Russian Red by MAC. So I'd use Russian Red a lot, or that Viva Glam 2. Dubonnet is another beautiful colour by MAC. So I love those rich ones, but to go for something a bit brighter, something like this would be nice as well. And then of course you have the option of using a little bit of that highlight, so I will just in the centre, just for the purpose of this. It's not, oh, I won't put on too much, just enough so that it's noticeable. And then with this highlight you can skip the lip gloss. And honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of lip gloss when it comes to bridal makeups, just for longevity, because lip gloss of course doesn't last half as long as lipstick. And if you do put it over lipstick, it does tend to eat the lipstick or kind of make it wear off quicker. Alright guys, so that's my version of a vintage makeup wedding look. I hope this was helpful, and yeah, so of course all the products used will be on my blog as usual, and along with extra photos and stuff like that. Congratulations to all ye brides and brides-to-be out there. I hope the day goes amazing for ye, and thanks a million for watching. Chat soon guys. Slán!